Presented by Monster Energy on ESPN LA 710 across the USC Trojans Media Network. I am Jordan Moore alongside Sean Cody Kessler, and the head coach, Lincoln Riley. Monster Energy, the official energy drink partner of USC, tear into a can of the meanest energy drink on the planet. Monster Energy, unleash the beast. And our head coach interview is presented by I Trust Capital, the official crypto platform of the USC Trojans. A big week here at USC. Thank you to the head coach, Lincoln Riley, for sitting down with us now. Tough one in Minnesota, certainly. Coach, when we get these small margin games, all anyone ever wants to talk about is, the last play of the game, and then this one was, the last play for Minnesota at least was controversial and all that. I'm sort of curious about over the course of 60 minutes and what you saw and what you felt like, the team could have done to maybe separate so you don't end up in the hands of the replay gods.
Yeah, no, I mean, there was, first there was we did a lot of good things as a team, and we put ourselves in position, there late in the fourth to win the game. And so obviously, kind of like the Michigan game, frustrated that, road football is difficult to win, as we saw across the country this last week. And you got to put yourself in position, and then you got to go capitalize. We've put ourselves in position, but you got to go capitalize there at the end, and we're disappointed that we didn't get that done Saturday, obviously. I think, looking at the game as a whole, I mean, to me, there was a few things. I think the first thing you look at is the turnovers, right? We lose the turnover battle 3-1, and I know we had to be pretty aggressive there at the end with the clock running down. But in all three turnovers, we're in the offense's plus territory where you're down there in scoring position. You've got good drives going on all three. So those were massive. I think, we did not do as good a job defensively against the run as we've done this entire year up to this point. And I think, our inability to either, to not stop the run, and certainly even just the field position game and how that played out was really critical because even when we did stop them, typically, the offense had the ball backed up quite a bit. And so you've got to drive it a long way against a good defense as opposed to get some of those stops earlier. Now it's shorter fields, or maybe you get a chance to return some punts. So I didn't think we played, very well in sync there. And I think those were, to me, the two biggest factors in the game. We didn't stop the run well, and then we had 3 turnovers in the plus zone. And, I mean, that kind of wiped out all the other advantages that we did have in the game because we dominated third downs. We dominated explosive plays. Like we still did a lot of good things as a team, but those are big things there that are going to equalize it. And then all of a sudden the game comes down to – one play or one call or whatever it is, and like any of them, like sometimes those are going to go your way and sometimes they're not. Then typically on the road they find a way not to, and that's part of playing on the road. Like we all know what it is. It is what it is, and you got to be able to overcome it. We put ourselves damn close, but we didn't get it done.
Yeah, two road losses, obviously tough to play on the road, but some opportunities in the fourth quarter where it looks like we got some points. We're feeling good in both losses, really, where you're feeling good about the game. What's your message to the team, and how to close out those games where you have leads in the fourth quarter, and how do we offensively and defensively do the right things to make those W's?
Yeah, we need to do what we did against LSU, because it was really the same scenario, and we got it done. We had the scores, we got the stops. And so, you've got to in those critical moments at the end of the game. That's where you've got to be laser focused. You can't get caught up on the emotions of the game or the excitement because it's the end of the game and it's coming down to it. I mean, that's where you've got to hone in, on your craft, on your technique, on the calls, on the communication, even more. And I think it's a learning experience for us. I mean, I think the one, we'll look back, I think on this, first early stretch of games, and we know, we've put ourselves in position to win every one of them. It's been a tough stretch. It's been good competition, not many games at home, all that. But like at the end of the day, like we need to learn from it, and we need to be better in the second half because of it. There's that battle-tested feel. Like our team is very battle-tested. Like I would argue. I'd be a little surprised if there's another team in the country right now that's more battle-tested than we are. And so we got to make that our advantage going forward. And if we'll handle it the right way, we'll continue to stay positive, continue to have competitive, upbeat practices, continue to improve, develop our roster. It's a long year, and as you see across the country, the parity's different. Things have shifted a little bit, and it's affecting some of the on the field too. And so the teams that stay steady through it and persevere on the back end of it could be really good football teams. And we have a chance to be one of those teams because we have a good football team right now. Like, we have a good football team. We have a chance to be a very good football team if we'll handle this the correct way.
Coach, I thought Miller did some things well in this football game, especially early on. Obviously, some throws and some decisions he'd like to have back. How would you evaluate your quarterback's performance now that you got to watch the tape back?
Yeah, I thought he played pretty good. I did. I thought he was. I thought he was pretty steady for us again. He had a lot of really, really good plays, a lot of good decisions. He had a couple of loose throws that he misses that he missed that he doesn't normally miss. And then I think. Listen, the decision there at the end is one that you're going to have to be aggressive at some point. You got a couple of plays left probably, and I'm never going to curb a quarterback from being aggressive in those moments because you got to score a touchdown.
Yeah.
I mean, you know what it is, and so that to me is all different situation together. But no, I thought he moved us well. I mean, the offense moved the ball well the entire game. Again, it's the turnovers were the biggest thing that just without the turnovers, it was there was a lot of good stuff on tape offensively, and honestly, there was a lot of things that we did better in that game offensively than we did against some of the previous opponents.
You're listening to the head coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live. Coach I saw a tweet. John Wilner tweeted out that Big Ten teams are 1-8 when crossing 2+ time zones so far since this experiment has begun here with a nationwide conference. When it comes to the travel, and you talked about just road games are difficult in general. Is it that, or are you guys still in an information gathering phase and trying to figure out how to master this whole thing of going cross country and winning games? Where do you stand on that? I mean, it's not a huge sample size, but it's 1-8 is something.
No, it is. I mean, I think there's one. I mean, there's a lot of good teams in this league. So like you go on the road and like you're not just going on the road. You're going on the road to play a pretty good team, most likely, right? So I think that's a big part of it. I think is everybody learning about the travel and the effects on the guys and all that? Because this is, like the NFL player, like he does football and then he goes home with his family or his buddies or whatever. Like these guys' schedules are like jam-packed and probably more jam-packed than they've ever been before. These guys are full-time students, right, on top of, trying to play high-level college football. So some of that, I think, remains to be seen, and I think we're all going to learn a lot going forward. I mean, teams on both coasts and everybody obviously is involved a little bit in it now. I mean, I think we're certainly trying to be very attentive to, our travel procedures, the amount of rest these guys are getting, effects on the body, obviously trying to optimize performance and recovery. So we're definitely trying to pay attention to those things. I don't know that I could say, I don't know that I could sit here and say, well, that traveling really made it a lot harder for us to beat Michigan or a lot harder for us to beat Minnesota. Like I don't necessarily feel that way right now, but we're certainly not going to leave any stone unturned, and obviously we want to continue to be better in all phases when we travel.
Coach, we saw on Saturday, spreading the ball around, and obviously Minnesota was doing some stuff to try to limit the big plays, so not really a ton of big shots. But about number one, Zachariah Branch, a critical drop early on in the game, maybe shakes his confidence a little bit, and you get that feeling. But throughout the season, expecting a big year, maybe that next step. What have you seen from number one, and how do you get him to kind of maybe unlock that next level of the player maybe you're hoping he can be?
Yeah, I think he's trying really hard. He's practicing really hard. I do think he would probably admit he's probably guilty sometimes of maybe just pressing a little bit, but. That's a little bit of the evolution from a role player to a starter, and that's and I think Zach is gonna make he's had a lot of really good plays for us. He had a lot of really good plays the other night. He had a bunch of great blocks. He had a couple of really big plays, and I think he's just been like right on the cusp of a few more. So we have a lot of confidence in him, the player he is now and the player he's going to become. He's got to stay the course. We're certainly going to stay the course with him and keep giving that guy opportunities because he's a heck of a player, and he's just going to get better and better from this.
Coach, your offensive line did a great job in the run game on Saturday. They gave Woody Marks a ton of space to work. How much confidence does that give you as a play caller going forward when you have that type of success on the ground?
That was important because that was that's a good defense. You know, that experienced front. The two interior guys are really good players. So it's been a big emphasis point. You know, we did do a lot of good things in the run game. That was exciting, and honestly, we ran it well, but we were like agonizingly close to having just a crazy day running the ball. I mean, it was some of the times that we got down, it wasn't by much. And so we were really, really excited about what we did in the run game. Thought the guys played well, prepared hard. I thought Alani Noah had his best game as a Trojan, which was great to see. I thought Elijah took some really good steps. Murphy was really good in the run game. Like we did some really good things that we absolutely can build on.
Well, life on the road is tough, but the Trojans, they can make it difficult for Penn State this week. They're the ones that have to come cross country and come to the Coliseum. USC versus Penn State, presented by Wells Fargo. Get there early. That's part of it. Need to build that atmosphere right at kick. It's a 12:30 kick. We go on at 10:30, so feel free to get in there nice and early. Watch the show up on the video board and get ready for a big-time battle at the Coliseum. USC versus Penn State, presented by Wells Fargo. We will talk about that matchup next with Coach Lincoln Riley on Trojans Live.
Some, explosive pass rushers. They're good at linebacker. They've got a lot of length and athleticism in the secondary, and they've had a couple years now where they've been very strong defensively. So it's just a good team. I mean, they're good on both sides of the ball. They're good on special teams. You could tell, that they've kind of been in their program for a while, right? It's the depth of the roster. You see some of those things in terms of when their backups and all that come in. You kind of feel like, all right, this is a pretty seasoned team and season program. So no, they do a good job. They challenge you on all sides. It'll be a good challenge for us.
Coach, 3 games into the Big Ten Conference here. Anything you've noticed different about the conference, or it seems pretty, football is football kind of thing? I mean, we've seen maybe some limited possessions. Anything Big Ten has been different at so far? Yeah,
I mean, the games have maybe felt like they've gone by a little bit quicker. Yeah, the possessions have definitely been limited. And I think that's been a little bit, just the nature of some of the teams that we've played, but that's always a possibility. But yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the biggest difference. I mean, I think the other obvious difference is, I think every road atmosphere that you're going to go to in this place in this conference is going to provide challenges, yep, which wasn't always the case in the Pac, not all the time. Yep. And so this one is, and and I think to Jordan's point earlier, I think it makes it even more important that when all these Big Ten teams come into the Coliseum, they got to experience the same thing. We got to make this an incredible home field advantage, and I know we will. And so, but I think those are the biggest takeaways up to this point.
Coach, this is another game where your offense started the second half with a statement drive, went 12 plays, 91 yards, backed up, and then finished in the end zone. What has led to some of your success on the offensive side of the football in those opening drives of the third quarter?
Yeah, it's been a strength for us. We've been able to get in there to make some adjustments if needed. The guys have taken it well. I think we've come out with a good mentality, and then those have been important drives, in the last several of these games. So it's good to see us starting that way. We obviously, we had a really good drive to start the game again too, and so we've done a better job here the last couple of weeks of starting out those halves, and now we just got to keep doing it and then be able to sustain it in the end.
Piggybacking a little bit off of Sean's question, what I've noticed from the first 3 Big Ten games, they kind of feel a little bit more like NFL games. You mentioned the limited possessions. You mentioned earlier the field position. They keep trying to back you up, and everything's been hard. I mean, you're going 90, and you're doing it. You only have 3 plays this season of 40 yards or more. Last 2 years at USC, you led the conference in that category. Are you noticing teams that in this league, do they change things where they're just trying to, hey, we're going to make you earn it over the course of the field? Is that the opponents we played, or is that our team? What do you see in terms of explosives?
Yeah, we've seen a little bit of that. And some of that's just been just strategy in particular games, and so I don't know that would group the conference in as a whole with that. Yeah. And it's part of it. I mean, we had, I can't remember what the number is right now. I mean, we had in the double digits of explosive plays in the game the other day. It's just not the 40 and 50 yard variety. So we were, very efficient in making a lot of big plays. But yeah, I mean, and some of it I think is the defenses at times have tried to limit that and maybe give you some more things underneath. And we've had some opportunities to make some really big ones too that we got to go capitalize on. I know we were talking earlier about the run game. There was But there's 7 or 8 runs in that I mean are a shoestring away from instead of being 7 or 8 or 9, they're 20, 30, 40-yard runs. So we got to go improve so that we can put ourselves in position to make a few more of those.
Coach, you mentioned a little bit the run game being a struggle on defense, and it's really been up to this point, up to this last game, a really strength of the defense. What was you think the major cause of that? Obviously, you're down Eric Gentry. Some injuries happened during the game. What you see anything maybe trying to stretch you out a little more? What did you see in the run game defensively that gave you guys a problem?
Yeah, you know what? We didn't command the line of scrimmage on the defensive front like we have in these other games, and so the margins there are thin, and we've got to be more controlling at the line of scrimmage. And then I didn't think we tackled as well at the second level. We missed a few tackles that we just really haven't been missing very often, and so when you combine those two things, all of a sudden the runs that in the previous weeks were 1 or 2 yards, now all of a sudden they're 4, 5, 6, and now the ones that were 4, 5, 6, they start getting out. And so, we got to get back to our fundamentals. We got to really trust it. We got to play better up front. We got to do a better job of putting a cap on things in the back end.
Coach, I truly believe you learned the most about your football team after a loss or after some adversity. What's the message to the locker room this week, getting ready to go face one of the better teams in the Big Ten?
Well, I think first you have to keep perspective. I mean, that's the crazy thing about this game. Again, you change 2 plays this year, then we're 5-0, and we're feeling like we're world beaters, and we're worried about being overconfident. And the reality is the other 99.9% would be the same either way.
Yeah.
And so, I think it's all about perspective for the team in this moment. You can't get too caught up in the emotions or all that's going on. It's like we have a good football team. We have some areas we need to get better. We need to go attack it because we got a phenomenal opportunity this week in the Coliseum that we damn sure don't want to miss. And so we'll have a very motivated and hungry team to prepare this week, and certainly cannot wait for Saturday to get here.
Love it.
Coach, opportunity coming up this Saturday for the entire Trojan family. Get there nice and early. USC versus Penn State, presented by Wells Fargo. 12:30 is the kick. Our Trojan Tailgate show will go on at 10:30. When you've got good beer and good vibes, it's all Buena. Stone Buena Vesa Salt and Lime Lagers, Baja inspired and imported from San Diego, located near you at findoutstonebrewing.com. And Fight on Trojans and Fly On with ONT. Ontario International Airport is a proud sponsor of our USC Trojans. Visit SoCalSoEasy.com to book your journey through ONT today. Best punter in the Big Ten so far this season, Eddie Chaplitsky. He's next on Trojans Live.